A UN summit reaches a legally binding agreement on an environmental treaty for protecting high seas biodiversity. Within the past hour, an historic agreement to protect the world's oceans has been approved after 10 years of talks. The High Seas Treaty aims to safeguard marine life in 30% of areas that don't belong to any single country. Only about 1% of these areas are currently protected. The deal is being hailed as a massive step by climate activists, as our climate reporter Esme Stallard reports.
The ship has reached the shore.
It took all night, but countries from around the world finally agreed on how to protect the high seas. High seas are international waters that aren't controlled by any nation. They make up 2/3 of the world's oceans and play host to most of our planet's marine life, some 2 million species. Until now, all countries had a right to fish, ship and research in these areas, but it's left the animals and plants living there vulnerable. Around 10% of monitored species are at risk of extinction.
I think that this treaty that will lay the groundwork for creating 30% of the ocean into marine sanctuaries that cannot be fished in is so important. We have to save these creatures.
Talks were deadlocked for years, mostly over how genetic material from plants and animals found in the high seas should be shared between nations. Several important drugs, including treatments for COVID, HIV and cancer, were developed from marine life. The potential for profit is huge. But no one knows how much ocean resources are truly worth, nor how they could be split.
It's a little bit hard to even wrap our heads around how big and how distant these areas are. So if you imagine like a big high-definition widescreen TV, and if only like 3 or 4 of the pixels on that giant screen are working, that's kind of our knowledge of the deep ocean. Like we don't know so much of what's going on.
Countries will need to meet again to formally adopt the treaty. But for many, now there will be much relief. Esme Stallard, BBC News.
And just to repeat, breaking news within the past hour, an historic agreement to protect the world's oceans has been approved after 10 years of talks. The High Seas Treaty, which aims to safeguard marine life in 30% of areas. They've come to an agreement on how to do that. Only about 1% of these areas are currently protected.